All right, folks, this is it. Don't get scared now. Welcome to the first episode of the Curious Cats podcast with me, your host, Ricky Spiers, and co-host Chris Walton. This is a long-form interview conversation podcast all about self-improvement, personal development, whichever sounds less irritating to you, go with that. We'll be having on all sorts of guests from authors to athletes, artists, business owners, entrepreneurs, doctors, anyone we're keen to learn from basically. Whether it be learning about developing our personal health, our mental health, our businesses, our finances, or our overall happiness. The first episode is loosely about me and my story, not in too much detail. We also talk a bit of nonsense as well. Don't worry about that. Bear with us. We'll get better at this weird thing of talking on mic to the world as we go. So if you enjoy it, please rate it, please review, please subscribe, or even if you think it's dog shit, let us know that as well. But please enjoy the Curious Cats. Right, Christopher, let's jump into this shit.
Hey.
First ever official episode of the Curious Cats right now.
Is this the first one?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Then it'll be yours. With me, Ricky Spiers, and Chris Walton.
But we've already recorded more than that.
Yeah. Well, this will be first because we've got to
going
set
out
up.
officially as the first one, is it?
Yeah.
I'm just getting my notes up.
Cool beans.
That's them. Look.
Nice.
Don't read them. So before we start, just
Mike.
for anyone listening,
Mike
Rich just told me he's really nervous. So if it's a bit shit, then it's probably because he's.
Fuck off.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Okay. So this is the first official episode. So.
Yeah, it makes sense, I thought, because it will go my story, your story, then bosh.
Why is it your story, my story?
Because it's my podcast.
Oh, you get the interesting one second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the thing is, if we do your one first, no one's tuning in for the second one, are they?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, so let's get cracking then. So,
Right, mate.
just give people like a bit of a clearer idea as to what we're even doing here. Why do you want to start a podcast in the first place? What's the reason for dragging me into this?
I think it's because my last venture I had zero fun. So I thought, right, next time whatever I'm gonna do, I've got to enjoy it. It's got to be for that first. And podcast, why a podcast? Because I consume more podcasts than anyone I know, other than maybe you.
What's your number one podcast? Can I move this closer to my face?
Yeah.
Oh, that's stiff.
Pivots on
Yeah,
that.
got you.
I'd say Rogan, closely followed by Tim Ferriss.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Yes, sir. And that's probably the main inspiration behind it, because he has on varying guests of all sorts of different ilks, and that's
Eclectic.
and that's probably
good.
why I think he's probably been my most long-standing podcast, because he mixes it up quite a lot.
Yeah, he's probably the most popular in the world. Would you say?
I think he probably is. Yeah.
I've just made that up entirely. It
But he
can't be far off, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But he's been doing it for years, isn't it? Like years and years.
Yeah. It's got to be hitting 10 years maybe.
Shit, son.
So yeah, that's why, because I like podcasts, and
I like podcasts. Cut. Call it a day there. That's Ricky Spiers, everyone. On to the Chris Walton show.
Onto the Chris Walton show.
Better.
Yeah, so because I'm very interested in talking to all sorts of people,
Yeah.
and learning from them, but learning face to face with them as well. So it's for selfish reasons, really, just because I want to meet loads of cool people and learn from them.
And rightly so.
And and I actually think that's probably a good reason to start something.
To give people a bit of context as well, you're pretty handy with the old sound engineering.
True story. It felt like a easy progression for me, because I think the biggest part of podcasting that most people struggle with is getting the technical side of it right.
Yeah.
And I'm a sound engineer by trade, so that's kind of comes
Why?
relatively easy to me.
Why?
Why what?
Why did you get into like sound engineering?
Why did I get into sound engineering? Probably
No, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have.
music production, I think.
Yeah.
music production. So back in the day, I was probably one of the best known DJs in Kensington.
What was your DJ name?
I don't even think I can say it.
Please say it.
Okay, it was DJ Goodfella.
Was it actually?
Yeah, it was
DJ
actually.
Goodfella.
Yeah, because that was my favourite film at the time, and
Makes
probably
sense.
still is.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I was pretty well known around Dines Road, Kemsing. So got right into DJ.
Did you do gigs and parties and things?
No, village hall parties maybe with mates, but.
Are you a bit? What sort of music?
Garage and drum and bass.
Yeah,
predominantly garage and drum and bass. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, so then got into making music, just like producing it on software on my computer at home. Got right into it and thought, right, I'm going to do a studio course in sound engineering. So that went from there really. But so that was live based. That was studio based sound engineering. But then when I ended up getting a job in live sound, because I applied for a studio, but the company I applied to said we don't have a studio anymore, but we do live sound.
We're not a real company.
Yeah.
Stop messaging us.
So yeah, I ended up getting a job in live sound, and then just went from there.
What's
really.
live sound?
Live sound would be events, all sorts of.
Oh,
different
that's not a
events.
company.
No, sorry, as in
yeah.
an industry. So it's very different to what I trained as, which was studio sound engineering.
Oh, I see.
But then there's a completely different industry, which is a live sound engineer. So you set up sound systems for events.
Which, we've discussed it a lot in the past. I'm pretty jealous of, because you basically get to travel around the world going to live gigs.
Pretty much.
I imagine that sounds more glamorous than it is.
It definitely does sound more glamorous than it is. Parts of it are glamorous. It's glamorous in that you're working next to and with high profile people, and occasionally you get high profile treatment, nice hotels, free stuff.
What's the best free thing you've been given?
Well, when I say free stuff, I mean just free food and alcohol. Right.
Best kind of stuff.
Yeah, so probably that.
Yeah.
Some Jägermeister, there you go.
Better.
So yeah, it does sound, and it is glamorous, but when you've been doing it for quite a long time, it's like anything, isn't it? It's kind of second nature to
the
it.
grass is always greener, as they say, Rick.
Defo, for sure.
I'm quite guilty though of looking at other people's lives and thinking that's a good bit of life.
100%.
It's a good lifestyle, good hobby, or good job.
Yeah.
Because it's quite easy to get stuck in your own triangle, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And by that I mean the gym, my house, and the pub. But there's a lot of your sort of schedule isn't all that regular, is it? So you're away for quite long periods of time, which must take its toll.
Yeah, so that's the other bit that people don't see. So again, it's the classic Instagram lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll post a cool picture of somewhere in Korea or on stage at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And people just see snippets of that one cool thing, but they didn't see the fact that you have been away for 10 weeks, or they didn't see that you've been on your own in a hotel room for
just crying in
my pants for So yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? It's like it's got its good sides, it's got its bad sides.
Do you spend much time on your own when you're doing these things?
Yeah, quite a lot.
The
hotel room sort of thing is obviously very much on your own. Depends. You don't have to. See, I swing between the wild man going out all the time, getting pissed up, but then I get angry at myself because I'm doing that. So then I won't come out for a while, and then I'll stay in my hotel room for a bit. And
what you go out with the other crew, the rest of the crew?
Yeah, there's always someone to go out with if you want to.
And say you're away for what's the typical period you're away for?
2 weeks is a pretty common job span.
And if you go away for 2 weeks, are you with the same people the whole 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So what if they're Zeds?
Also trouble.
Does that happen though?
Yeah, absolutely. Not always that they're Zeds, but you might just be very different to them, and
of course,
you just might not have much in common. So, but you've been forced to work with these people.
But you're working and then socialising with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's a tough gig.
Yeah, usually when it's regular work, you're with people you know quite a lot, and it's usually that's not really so much a problem. It's more yeah, because it's kind of a social job as well. You are sometimes forced. You know, if you're staying in a hotel for 2 weeks away,
You
somewhere,
can't be that person that doesn't ever go out.
exactly. Yeah, and even when you do, you stay in thinking. Well, I do stay in thinking, oh, this is a bit boring. What am I doing this for? But then the alternative, as we've spoke about before, is you go out and you get smashed. Like
Yeah.
the in between's pretty difficult. So, but I'm getting used to
If
that
not
as I get older.
impossible.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
used to that, and just saying, all right, so this is going to be a relatively full-on 2 weeks. Try a bit of damage limitation. At least go to the gym 3 times this week,
Yeah.
and then just accept that it's not going to be the healthiest of weeks. And then when you get home, you can get back on it, sort of thing.
That must be difficult for someone who is quite keen on like routine, because you are quite.
Yeah,
you've got,
massively.
like, yeah.
Yeah, and I do so much better in routine. That's why I struggle with. I do struggle with my job, and as you know, I've tried to get out of it before
Yeah.
and set up my own business, and because I decided that it's not so.
We'll go on
all
to
the-
that
Yeah, it's all the
shortly.
away stuff that was just driving me
When
crazy.
when you're away, do you get time to train?
Varies, depends where you are. So when you're on tour, it's difficult because a lot of the time you spend your night sleeping on a tour bus. Then every now and again you get a hotel.
With the rest of that crew, with the rest
Oh
of the
yeah.
crew.
So this is the thing
No.
about a tour that's pretty difficult. So some tours I've done, there'll be 16 of you on one tour bus. And so that's basically every single bunk is full. What you want is a nice tour where it's not too many of you and there's
Yeah.
a few spare bunks. It just gives a bit more space on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bus.
per person walking about the bus and bits. Yeah.
But other ones, it's been there's 16 blokes,
No.
and we're talking 16 blokes as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's no women, there's nothing to break up that social
Just
thing of
lavishness.
16. Yeah, exactly. So
So if you've got people who want to stay up and like crack on with the drinking or partying, and you just have to grin and bear it.
yeah,
And I guess that's kind of half the culture of touring.
massively. Yeah,
They
there's
love a sesh.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 60,
Does the, like-
60-year-old geezers still having sessions on tour buses.
Is there really?
Yeah, loving it. Yeah,
Turbo lads.
yeah.
And what about the actual like performer? As in like the who you're touring for? Are they on the same bus?
No, well, in some tours, you know, your smaller artists that haven't proper broken
Like,
out
yeah.
on the big budgets. But generally, I've done one tour where the artist was on the same bus as us. But other than that, no, they've got their own bus. Usually the band are on it, but more often than not, they'll get hotels quite a lot rather than fly places and stuff like that.
Who pays for all? Is it the band? Is it the star that pays for all of that?
No, it's a difficult one, really. It's quite a complex industry that there's promoters involved and there's record labels involved as well. So sometimes a record label might front the whole tour because they believe in the artist.
Yeah.
Sometimes a promoter might go halves with the artist. Sometimes the artist might pay for it. But that's quite a complex industry. There's a lot of contracts and lawyers and promoters
Ultimately, it's a
involved.
business, right? And someone's got to make a profit.
Exactly, yeah.
And so they're not going to be paying for all of this, like the sound technicians and engineers to be staying in 5-star hotels, are they?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, stick them on a bus.
Yeah.
That 60-year-old geezer who loves getting on it.
But again, then a lot of the time you do get the same. The tour I was just on, it was nice, really nice. You got the same hotels as the band and
Yeah.
pretty good schedule. But other tours I've been on that aren't as.
Can you say who that was?
Yeah, Rag and Bone Man, yeah.
Yeah. Who's excellent for your reference.
Yes, very good tour.
Fun.
Fun.
That's exciting
So
stuff.
sorry. In answer to your other question, it's when you get a day off at a hotel, you can train. Other than that, you might just find a random park and go out for a run, but
Do parkour.
just run about jumping over stuff.
Forward rolling down hills.
But again, that's difficult because I'm usually the only one doing that.
Yeah,
as well.
I bet. I was going to say there can't be a massive thing on the old
No,
tour routes.
no. They all smoke. They
all
all
seemed.
booze. So it's quite difficult.
So they smoke marijuana.
They do actually.
Do they?
Yeah.
Marijuana. Oh.
Not that I've got anything against that.
No,
Well,
but I
there's
bet that's
anything wrong
quite
with
like that's quite common.
Yeah.
Probably more than just that, I guess. But
Yeah.
how exciting!
But that's only-
It's fascinating, like that industry. It's so different to anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
that I'm really intrigued by it.
Yeah.
Because I bet they're just with that much like excess available, and that like kind of roguish nature that you always associate with musicians anyway.
Yeah.
And I bet a fair amount of them are encouraged to play up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of like their industry and their genre maybe makes a difference, I'm sure. You're not getting loads of classical musicians going out and getting on a sesh either. That I would imagine, being their age and with that much money and success and fame, it'd be very difficult not to go off the rails.
Massively. I've thought this myself. So it can be actually quite boring after a while on tour.
Yeah.
It's quite monotonous for them. Other than obviously the performance, I'm sure they look forward to. But other than that, it's a hell of a lot of travel, hell of a lot of hotel rooms, hell of a lot of evenings off in a new city. So what you're going to do? You're probably going to get pissed up somewhere.
Yeah.
But also the rider that these artists get. So for example, Rag and Bone Man shows up to his dressing room and it's on his rider that there should be so many beers and so many bottles of rum because that's his drink.
Yeah.
So it's and it's all free. You know, no one's the festival's paying for it. Or whatever gig you're at is paying for it.
Yeah.
And they can just have what they want everywhere they go. Pretty much.
Were they boozing before they went and performed?
No, not usually. They might have a few drinks during the set, but again, other artists will be different. They'll be boozing hard before they go on.
There's just no way I could do anything like if I'd been boozing.
Yeah, let alone go and perform.
That's just probably they've been doing it for so long that it's just second nature to be sort of
I
half
suppose
cut when
they're
out.
musicians and stuff, aren't they? So they've been like rehearsing pissed up
yeah.
and in the studio having a few
Yeah.
drinks and stuff like that. So I guess
There's a
it's
lot.
second
There's got to
nature.
be a lot of highs and lows for them. The reason I'm intrigued by it is that because I can't believe that everyone doesn't just go right off the rails because I think I'd be dead.
Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
Quickly, I think.
I think they probably need the right people around them
Yeah,
to stop
yeah,
that
of
because
course.
imagine at a young age a young man making it, all that money, all that free access just thrown at you. Now girls just want to sleep with you. There's drugs available. There's booze available. You're with a bunch of musicians. You're with a bunch of crew.
Sounds awful.
Sounds terrible, right? Try not going off the rails then as a young man.
Of course.
Right? So I'd imagine you must have to have.
You need your mum there.
You need your mum there is what you need.
Yeah.
Picking the girls. Don't go with her. She's a skank.
She's up to no good.
Yeah, she's trouble. Don't take them drugs.
She's only after your rum.
Yeah. I've never seen anyone on tour with their mum, but
Well.
no, I'd say good manager, and probably at least a good family that's close to him to be like, you're going crazy, geez.
You need like your best mate or something as well, don't you?
Yeah, well, a lot of them end up touring with mates. Like their mate might become their tour manager and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Having people close around you. It's funny when going to drop a fucking full name drop here, but
Go on. Elton John.
Ed Sheeran's performance
better.
at Glastonbury, it was so it was like they clear the stage basically because there's a lot of hangers on that just want to get on stage at Glastonbury and they've got a pass, so they probably can. But
Sorry, on the actual stage when he's performing.
yeah, so backstage, there's like people don't realise the Glastonbury stage. What you see the performance on is probably a quarter of the stage behind the drape, behind the screen.
Yeah.
There's a giant world where we're setting up new bands, and there's probably 4 or 5 bands set up on what we call rolling risers, ready to come straight on
Really?
as the other artist comes off. So there's a lot of space for it.
You roll them out.
Yeah, that's how a festival works. So it has to operate like that, or it just won't.
Because
happen.
it'd just be. I guess they got all their kit and set up, and
Yeah, exactly. So
I bet they're quite fussy about that, aren't they?
massively, yeah. Well, it takes some proper management to run it. But anyway, yeah. So there's a massive area backstage, and there are like viewing platforms as well. So
I think I've kind of seen.
yeah, you do
images
see them
that-
on
yeah,
telly. So
yeah, the
it's-
Beckhams are always there, aren't they?
standard.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy for people to get on stage if they want. Anyway, for his set, there was like a closed stage, so you have to have an additional wristband to be on stage. So they threw most people off stage, but because I was with the festival supplier, I could be on stage. I was only there to watch his performance, to be fair. And in his whole entourage, there was like 2 people, his manager, I think, and his stage manager, and his nan and granddad. That was it.
Really?
Just his nan and granddad that come up on stage with him and watched him perform, yeah.
That's,
And he walked off with his nan and granddad as well.
That's pretty gangster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. It was cool. But I think he's been there, done it as well, so...
He is a bit too cool for school, though, isn't it? I've
Pretty
got
much.
a lot of time for that. When you say a closed stage, what that means? Like no, it's because he was like the headline or something.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's usually is the headline.
And there's no one on after that, is there?
Yeah. Other than like all the other dance tents and stuff like that.
Mental nutters going.
Yeah,
off
exactly.
That for someone who's not in that industry, that sounds exciting. You've basically got to see Ed Sheeran amongst others like that close.
Yeah,
that's a perk, isn't it?
That's cool. But don't get me wrong, Glastonbury Festival, and it was a good year that year for the weather. That was literally the best job I've ever done. So that's obviously me pointing out a highlight.
When you're because obviously you have to stay fairly compos mentis when you're like working, right?
Yeah.
If not completely sober. I'm not grassing you up, mate, for your reference. You must see some wrong-uns later on in the night.
Yeah.
Because Glastonbury at that stage must be carnage, right?
Yeah, but you generally avoid the crowds because you're there for work.
Oh, you're not like walking around.
No. I did it. The first year at Glastonbury.
You were walking around all the tents like.
No, you don't really. I did it one night just because it was the first night I'd ever been to Glastonbury, so I went and had a look about, see what it was all about. But other than that, you are at work. You're not with your mates either, so you're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
Your comfy tour bus is backstage.
All muddy and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's nutters everywhere.
Yeah,
you're
scary.
Like, yeah. So you're like, get me out of there. When you know if you go backstage, you got your tour bus.
Yeah.
Showers. There's a drink in the fridge waiting for
poor
you.
People.
Exactly. Yeah, all the smelly hippies.
I'd love to go to Glastonbury. Never ever. Oh, do you know I've never been to a festival?
Really?
Ever. It's not really my cup of tea.
Oh, we went to Benicassim.
Yeah, that's a straight up lie. We did. Yeah, that's the only festival I've ever been to.
Yeah.
That was excellent actually as well.
It was good. I think we was a little just slightly
that doesn't count though because that's you were slightly overage. I was about right.
Yeah, actually, I'll give you that.
That didn't count either because it's sunny. What I mean by I mean like a
British festival.
The British festival, yeah.
Yeah, and it is so. I mean, this was the first year I'd ever done it, and it was Glastonbury, that is, and the weather was perfect. I speak to my brother who goes all the time, and he admits it's just such a lottery. It is.
Yeah.
If you make it on a good year, it's amazing. If it pisses down all weekend, it's all right, but it's a bit much.
It's a bit of novelty at first, I bet, but like being muddy and wet and cold is not
on day
the
4.
one. Yeah.
Your tent's fucked.
Yeah.
All your gear's fucked.
Yeah. There's mud everywhere. That's when there's tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be home.
Yeah.
Day 2. I've had enough. So, sorry, back to the training bit, just quickly, because I know, for those of you who don't know, Rick's a bit of a weapon. You know, he's sitting at about 10% body fat over there. Not far off, would you say?
Maybe above right now, but I'm dieting currently, so I'll get there.
But for people who didn't know, you used to be a bit fat, didn't you, Rick?
I did. Used to be a little chubber. Yeah, did used to be a chubby little kid. No, actually, it was late teens. I got fat.
So I'm obviously.
Did you know me when I was fat?
I met you when we
worked
at Sainsbury's together in the frozen section.
Oh yeah, of course.
You taught me how to pack the ice cubes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
So that would have been. Yeah, it would have been
15 years ago. No, more than that.
I think I was probably 18 roughly. So yeah, would have been chubber.
Yeah.
Bit chunky.
Yeah. You wore it well though.
Cheers, mate.
So bearing that in mind, and now you train a lot. For someone who trains a lot, I know that is so ingrained into your routine that if you can't carve out time to look after yourself like that, it becomes a bit of an issue.
Yeah, definitely.
And a bit frustrating. And I'm the same. If I don't do anything, then it really does affect my mood.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't notice it either.
I think you don't notice it until you've trained, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm not annoyed with the world.
Yeah, it's a funny one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is a direct result of improving your brain chemistry through exercise, as we've discussed in the past.
Yeah.
So, for someone who trains like quite regularly, and I mean you're training every day pretty much when you're here, right, or like 5 times a week,
yeah,
to not doing a lot, do you find that affects your frame of mind?
Yes, massively. Actually, I tend to then start to slip the other way back to the old me.
Yeah.
And yes, I
Fat
am.
Rick.
We call him Fat Rick. And yeah, I'll be drinking. Well, I'll stop worrying about too much what I'm eating, but in the back of my head, I know what I'm doing. I'm conscious of it, and I'm generally not liking myself at that
Berate
point in
yourself
time.
for it.
Yeah,
It's difficult, right? The difficult
massively.
thing is
routine.
if you
such key.
if you slip, just like anything, if you slip out of the habit of being mindful about what you eat, looking after yourself, training regularly, it's really easy to stay out of that habit.
Yeah.
I do exactly the same. I think that's just human nature. Like if you start
Christmas time, for example.
yeah. Everyone is the same.
Yeah.
It's really easy to not go to the gym then, or it's really easy to eat an extra mince pie or have an extra beer or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then you start getting comfortable being uncomfortable, which is it's not a good place to be.
No, feeling average every day.
Yeah, but I think also a lot of people, myself included, when I do it, you start, when you do it for long enough, you start thinking that is just how normal feels.
Yeah.
And it's not until you can really get yourself back into the swing of like looking after yourself, doing some regular exercise, and eating the right foods, you realise, oh shit, there is I am actually a lot happier when I'm doing this.
Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's probably like a huge % of the population that live like that.
Yeah, I'd agree. And again, it's something that I see, like what we spoke about in my industry. I'm talking about touring because that's the job I've done recently. There is another side of the industry where people don't necessarily tour and it's one-off jobs here and there. That's very different. But when people tour, generally it's the same people that would literally jump from tour to tour because that's what they do. That's how they earn their money.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of them smoke, most of them drink. You've always got pretty decent food available to, and by decent I mean not particularly good for you, sorry.
Right, yeah. Just an abundance of food.
Yeah, abundance of everything because they've got cash on the hip as well.
Yeah.
You get what's called PDs when you're on tour, so you're literally given cash.
What's the PD stand for?
Per diem. So it's a daily allowance of cash.
Sounds made up.
It does sound weird.
Yeah.
And again, no other industries have heard of this or do it.
So what? Sorry, what does that mean?
It's just a daily allowance of cash you get given as
the
living
tour,
expense by the tour manager.
Right.
As living expense.
So you're not even spending any money when you're doing it.
No.
Unless you're doing other bits.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, my point being is that a lot of them smoke, drink too much, get fuck all sleep, rolling on and off tour buses, in and out of hotel rooms. Again, they're having probably a lot of fun, seeing new places and everything else. But
yeah, that wears thin though.
Yeah,
I bet.
it's full on.
Yeah. The booze is the worst.
Massively, yeah.
Booze really is because, I mean, we both drink quite, I'd say, a decent amount. And I know I'm very, very aware of the fact that I just don't function optimally when even remotely hanging.
Yeah.
So if I've had like even a couple of beers the night before, I wake up and still feel a little bit cloudy.
Yeah.
And then if I really go out, then I'm pretty much useless the next day.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not many other people that berate themselves about it like we do, though. And I think that's because I don't really see it. Maybe it's just because I talk to you more. But for example, I think at separate occasions, but we both had a drink this weekend and we're feeling pretty average on. Well, it's bank holiday. It always happens, doesn't it? Feeling pretty average on Tuesday.
Oh man, I didn't feel even close to average.
Yeah, well there you go.
I was bad.
Yeah. And then we just start thinking, fuck's sake, why have I done this again? Why do I do this? Whereas I don't know that other people do beat themselves up like we do. I wonder if it's because we do generally 80% of the time try and take good care of ourselves and we know what it's like to function and we've both got big goals that we want to achieve and all these things that we want to do, that when we get fucked up, the next few days we're well off and we're like, why didn't I bother doing that?
We're getting older.
I don't know, maybe.
5 years ago, though, could have just brushed that off.
Bounce back.
Yeah. I have no bounce back ability now.
yeah, it goes, doesn't it?
I just feel down for a couple of days. That being said, Thursday comes along and I'm back up for it. It's a deadly cycle.
It is deadly cycle.
I'm sure a few people can relate to that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, but people do. I think people do get used to just feeling slightly subpar.
Yeah, just kind of
with food
sluggish.
and like that, and then I guess if you do that long enough, you just feel like that's normal.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't take long for it to. That's your base level. That weird sluggishness.
So I guess when you get back from like tours and you've been away for a long time, you have to go through that roller coaster of getting out of that, which is, you know, when you haven't been looking after yourself at all for a long time, first session back in the gym, or that first time when you have to show some restraint and not go out or not drink can be quite difficult, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you feel weak as fuck.
Yeah, the cardio hits you hard as
Yeah.
well. Try and go for a run if you've had 2 weeks off
Yeah,
of good fun living.
good old fashioned fun living.
Good old fashioned fun living. Then trying to go for a run, you're like, this is day one again.
Yeah,
I'm a fat mess. This is disgusting.
yeah,
But I think I don't know, you managed to push yourself through it. And then the hardest thing is just walking back, getting out of the house to go to the gym on that first time, that first session back.
Well, we say this to everyone. Like, the hardest bit about even coming to the gym is just stepping through the door and asking for help, or just turning up to that first session and just getting your heart and lungs working a bit harder, because as soon as you warm up, you start feeling the benefits.
Yeah, definitely.
No one's ever regretted working out.
No. Yeah, just getting going again is definitely key. But it's the other thing is coming off of a tour is the switching mindset. Like example, what I was saying about if you've got a full tour bus, or even just working away anywhere, and you're working away with a bunch of blokes.
Yeah.
And then you know how it is when you're in that work mentality mindset. That work banter, the way you talk to each other constantly. Dropping the C-bomb at each other randomly.
Can't do that with the missus.
You can't call the missus, you can't. Don't do that.
Wow. We'll have to cut that out, Rick.
No, we could. This is our podcast.
Oh,
we
yeah,
can say
we do
whatever
what
we like.
Yeah.
We want listeners that aren't afraid of words like that.
I'm not afraid.
I'm not scared of them words, Rick. But yeah, you have to just readjust. You've been on a bus with 16 men for God knows how long. You have to stop kissing men and stuff. Huh?
You have to stop touching men. Again.
The whole thing is a complete readjust, and that's, if I'm honest, and I've probably stressed this to you before, it doesn't really work for me as a lifestyle, because it's up and down, it's up and down, it's up and down.
So that being said, a few years back, you decided to stop that altogether, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2014.
4 years ago. That feels like less than that.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Well, no, that was when I decided, right, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Because I've been unhappy for quite a while leading up to 2014.
Yeah.
2014 was kind of what broke the back.
Camel's back.
Yeah, because I was away most of the year working.
Yeah.
First half of the year was Winter Olympics. I was in Russia for 10 weeks.
That must have been brutal.
That was brutal. It's good. It's good to see it. You know, people are like, wow, you travel and all this, and it's great for.
Wow, Rick, you're a hero.
Honestly, Rick, how can we be more like you? They say.
How can I spend 10 weeks in Russia, Rick? Yeah, but when you travel, right, you see it, and then you've seen it.
Yeah,
10 weeks is a stretch, right?
And then I find myself thinking, oh, I wish my mates and my family was here with me.
Yeah, I remember you ringing me up and you were whinging down the phone, like wailing. Chris,
literally wailing in my
where
hotel
are
room.
you?
So I'd go to the top of mountains sometimes, and I'd just shout, Chris.
That's creepy.
Anyway, yeah. Then I went. Where else did I go? Then I was in China again. Cool, but after a week you're over it.
Yeah.
In Glasgow for most of the summer, and then a tour at the end of the year again. So I actually worked out at the end of the year I'd been away more than I'd been at home.
Yeah.
And that come at a time when I was starting to think I've had enough of being away all the time. I should do something else. So yeah, at that point I was like, right, enough's enough. If you don't try now, then you're a pussy. So you've got to give something else a try.
Yeah.
Because I'd been saying to myself for probably 3 years in my head, not necessarily talking to people about it, but in my head I'd had enough, and I was constantly thinking, what else could I do? And it was a bit like what you said earlier. Like I'd literally see something, I'd be like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I could do that. And next day I could, that'd make a good business.
Yeah, everything seems like a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Again, grass is greener.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually settled on something that stuck was opening a salad bar. So, do you know the funny thing is, it was a Joe Rogan experience I was listening to when I decided to actually do something. I was listening to a Gracie, which Gracie is it? Henry Gracie, I think. Joe Rogan was interviewing him, and he was talking to him about. He asked Joe Rogan. He said, "What do you think the opposite of courage is?" And Joe Rogan was like, "I don't know, a coward." And he was like, "Well, I think it's conformity. I think if you conform, then that's like being a coward. That's the opposite of courage. You're just doing what everybody else does. You're fitting in, following whatever paths that aren't really ones you want to be on."
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, fucking hell, he's right. Like, by conforming, you are being a bit of a coward. And I don't know why, but I've always had a bit of an obsession with being bold and stepping up. And the thought of being a coward to me is like fucking terrible, lowest of the low. I don't know what it is, but that's something that it's what I've always felt strongly about. And I was like, fuck's sake, I am being a massive coward, because it's been 3 years I didn't want to do this. Here I am still doing it. And for what? Just because it earns me money?
It's tough, right? It's tough.
It is massive. Yeah, you're right. It is very tough. And I was like,
the thing I see with people who because it's on one hand, it's so easy for people to say, yeah, you've got to follow your dreams, and like you miss all the shots you don't take, and you've got to try. But then on the other hand, it's like it is scary, right?
Yeah,
like, that's
massively.
scary for certainly for people with commitments. And like I see so many people who get. I mean, we see it in this industry with a lot of clients who get stuck in this rat race, and if you leave it, and if they leave it too long, they feel like they can't get out.
Yeah.
When you've got families, like commitments, work commitments, schools to pay for, you've got a mortgage to pay for. That's tough drills. That takes some bollocks.
Yeah. And fun. And then fast forward a few years, and it was going fucking wrong for me, and I was worried about paying the mortgage. And that is the reality of it. That's what can happen.
Yeah,
I signed myself up to the worst case scenario, but if you was to think about the worst case scenario too much, you'd never start. So
correct. Yeah,
you just put that to your back of your mind. And
you
think,
see a lot of people, like entrepreneurship in general. I think has become like really glamorous, especially with like these sort of go on Instagram, and it's like every other profile is like some motivational quote.
Yeah.
Some bullshit about
it. Yeah, dumbed down now, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is, and there's elements of truth in all of them, but people don't see the other sides of like being an entrepreneur and like the hours that you have to put in and the stress. I mean, stress compared to having a regular job is like different game altogether.
That's something that I want to do with this podcast, is talk to them people about that sort of stuff, because I've found exactly the same thing. Obviously, I started doing a load of research and business plans, and everything I was starting to read was now entrepreneurial. Yeah. And about how, it does get glamorized, like you say. And particularly a lot of it's all about tech entrepreneurs as well, which is just a different world altogether to a one-man band starting up his own small business. It's just so different.
There's these like sort of unicorn tech companies that one guy starts in his dorm room and then he's a billionaire in a few years.
Yeah, exactly.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. That's something I'd definitely like to hear from other people about the struggles, because again, I wasn't ready for what was about to happen, so decided to start the salad bar. Yeah. Took ages trying to find a property and made a go of it. And it was fucking hit me like a ton of bricks how hard it was. Yeah. Particularly when things start going wrong and you're literally burning money. Yeah. Your money that I took out of my mortgage, that's mine and my wife's savings. Yeah, that's taken a long time to get there, right? Yeah, and it's fucking literally flying out the bank. And you've got to try and figure out why. You've got to try and figure out how to stop it. You've got to try and figure out how to turn the business around. And like, it's just so all-consuming every single day. And it's quite lonely as well, because I started on my own, I did have a business partner. I had a lot of help, don't get me wrong, but no one can tell you what to do. And even when you do get help and people do tell you what to do, your brain's kind of in fucking panic anyway, so it's quite hard to take some of that stuff on. Yeah. One thing that people fail to realise is that you can't just go home at the end of the day and switch off. You just can't. Like, it's easy to do that if you've got a job where you're working for someone else. Not easy, but it's easier. Yeah. I know there are some jobs where people, they take it home with them, but you can't not take it home with you. No.
And that takes its toll.
Yeah, definitely. I found it, particularly where it was a shop and I had to be there every day, certain hours, even on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I found it, and I've gone from freelancing, which is as casual as it comes. You can say yes to a job, you can say no to a job. When you've got time off, you've got time off.
Yeah.
Like, you've got fuck all, you catch up on your chores and then you're done. Like, go and see friends, see family.
Yeah.
Lay in your pants watching Netflix.
Catch up on your chores. Yeah, good.
And now all of a sudden I was tied to this shop. I just felt fucking completely suffocated.
Yeah, it's a
completely
tie. Right,
trapped.
that's exactly what it is, isn't
Yeah.
it? It is a proper tie.
Like, I had to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you're not going to not go in today. I
Do you
remember
find that used to sort of sucks the fun out of it a little bit?
100%, yeah. I was trying to find fun in it because I knew like I wasn't enjoying anything, so I had to try and
Yeah, I remember it happened. I remember talking about it with you. Yeah.
try and enjoy some aspect. I remember I'd like go to the bank and I'd see other people out and about shopping, and I'd just be like in my head, fucking hell, I remember when I used to have just random days off going out shopping and sitting in coffee shops.
Yeah.
And I just felt so trapped, like, this is never going to happen for me again. Like, this is me now. Yeah. This is it. I'm a struggling
business owner.
owner. So yeah, it come pretty hard, and it was a massive shock, but a good learning curve as well.
One thing though, from having spoken to a lot of people about startups and businesses and people who have had success, is that every one of them has had a lot more failures before.
Yeah.
Everyone. You know, I don't know many people who have straight off the blocks, first business has done really, really well.
Yeah.
And there are people that do it, but even within those businesses that have done well, it's a roller coaster for everyone. No one just has a straight line up to success.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like taking, and everyone who has experience in running a business will say it's about what you take from those failures or those dips in the roller coaster that lead them to them becoming successful.
Yeah, definitely. But it takes, once it's all said and done and I'm away from it, it takes a while for them lessons to actually start sinking in.
Yeah.
And then actually when you look back and you start thinking about, and some of them are lessons you wouldn't expect either as well. I learned about more to look at things as in what I want from life, rather than like bigger lessons,
bigger picture
like,
lessons,
rather than just how not to run a business and things like that, and marketing and all the other boring stuff. It was actually like bigger lessons, like think what you want from your business first before you think what sort of business you want, if that makes sense.
And like just actually quantifying what success would be for you. Yeah. Because not everyone's definition of success is how much money is in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite often I think that's a real mistake as well. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, you have to pay the bills and you have to be able to afford to speculate and grow your business. But if you're working 100 hours a week, just grafting constantly, don't see your family, can't look after yourself, it doesn't really matter how much money you've got in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a tough balance, right?
Yeah.
So at what point did you think, oh fuck it, I've had enough of this?
So it was a long time coming. I run out of money, like completely rock bottom, run out of money. So the business has no money. I personally have no money. That happened for the second time. And so I took out a loan.
Well, what happened? Oh, you borrowed some money first time.
Yeah, sorry, borrowed money first time. Yeah, literally enough to pay the rent. It was $5,000 I borrowed off my mum and dad. Yeah. To keep us open for another quarter. Yeah. And then things hadn't improved and it happened again. So now I'm at a crossroads. So I've got a few weeks or whatever before the rent's due. And I can't even remember how I did come to the decision. So I had a business mentor through Virgin Startup, because I took a small loan from them, a small business loan, and they provide you with a business mentor, which is really helpful. The first one, not so much. We didn't get on so well, and he was a full-time employee for one of the big phone providers, and I was a bit like, why is this guy my mentor? Like, he's no offense, but he's an employee. Yeah, he hasn't ever owned and run his own business. And I sort of complained to Virgin Startup. I was like, sorry, this guy ain't for me. He's not. Yeah. I'm sure there's lots he can teach me, but anyway, it was the best thing I did, because they then sorted me out a guy who has grown his own sandwich manufacturing business. He was involved early days with Pret. he helped roll out a company called Crush in London.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the smoothie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fit Food, I think is their logo. He helped roll
Yeah.
them out. He was so good, just so straight talking,
Right.
and started to say to me, look, I think you're going to need to offer more than just healthy food. You should probably start thinking about doing some breakfast muffins and try doing toasted wraps that have got cheese and stuff in them, some more popular items, because I don't
Yeah.
think, because my business was based on a city kind of a vibe,
Yeah.
and I wasn't in the city, so not everyone wanted to eat healthy. There was a Greg's round the corner.
Not
a
enough
lot of-
footfall for that sort of.
Yeah,
niche
exactly.
of
So he said
food,
you need
yeah.
to start spreading out your offering, and that was never really what I wanted to do. But he was talking straight to me. You know, he said, if you do this, that's what matters. It's what, like, fuck the fact you never used to want to have Coke on your shelves. Like, you're running out of money here. Perhaps
Yeah,
you
yeah.
should sell some Coke.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'd never wanted to do that, and I always wanted to be part of, because I was really, I'm really into like healthy living, as you
Yeah.
guys are here, and the big impact it makes on people. If you sort your health out, the other things you can go on to improve about your
Yeah.
life. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't be part of that problem. There's nothing I want about that. So straight away, the writing was on the wall. Anyway, went to see him for a second time, and we sat down and we worked out, right, if you're going to make a go of this, as I've just running out of money for the second time, what do we need to do? We need to rebrand. I was called the Salad House. You need to rebrand so it's people don't just think about salads.
Yeah.
We need to throw about 30 grand at it, and you need to start offering a lot more than just salads and wraps. You need to start doing breakfast, other options as well,
Yeah.
like Pret.
Yeah.
They do all sorts, don't they, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you probably need about 30 grand. And yeah, we, sat down, proper budgeted it, and thought, yeah, he's probably right. It is about 30 grand, because you'll have to rebrand everything, rebrand the front of the shop.
Yeah, that's a slap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doing all that.
Yeah. And I thought, right. And it was at that stage where you hear a lot of businesses hit that stage. I think you've told me a book about it, Tipping Point or something
Tipping
like that,
point. Yeah.
where it's like, and a lot of the stories I've read is about never giving up and success, them silly quotes, success always being just the other side of
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So I'm at that point like, well, do I walk away from this? And that was the hardest fucking decision ever, because I was at that point where, do I turn this around, or do I call it a day and wipe my mouth and walk away? And then I thought, and that's when I really started asking, I'm sitting there on my own in the shop when it was closed, and I've cleaned up, everyone's gone home, and I'm trying to work out what the hell to do. And that's when I start asking questions like, do you even fucking want this?
Yeah.
Like, regardless, yes, you want to be a businessman, yes, you want to make a success of yourself, blah, 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 but do you want this? Do you? And I was just like, do you know what? I don't fucking want this. Even if it was and I thought, do you know what? Even if this was a successful salad bar, meh. Like, I've got this wrong. This ain't for me.
Were you saying that out loud in the shop on your own?
That whole conversation was out loud, yeah.
Do you fucking want? You're looking in the mirror. Do you want this Ricky Spiers or not?
I probably was.
Yeah, that's a bitter pill to swallow,
Massively.
isn't it?
Yeah. But when I made the decision, all right, game over.
Did you know straight away that you'd made the right choice?
No, to be fair, that actually took a while, because it grates on you.
Yeah, I'm like that.
It grates on you. It's not till quite a few months down the line you think, yeah, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because you start thinking, wow, what if I look back in a year's time and think, that was a silly move, you shouldn't have sold it.
I always tell people to do this, and I never do it myself, and that is when like worrying about anything is never worry about something that hasn't happened yet, or something that's already happened,
Yeah.
or something you have no control over. And quite a lot of the things fit into nearly everything you worry about fits into one of those.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say because you shouldn't, because it's time you're never getting back.
Yeah, right, 100%.
Certainly things that have already happened, but I mean, I think we're all guilty of worrying about things that might never happen.
Yeah.
What if this could have been a success?
Yeah.
What if I'd have done this slightly differently? What if some situation changes where it gets busier or improves, or you could spend forever beating yourself up about that. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
But that time that you spend going over that in your head, it's just time that you're never getting back.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's difficult to actually do that when you're right in the mix. You're right in the midst of it. It's
You can't
difficult to
think
say that to
straight.
yourself. But I think that's one of the benefits of hindsight, is that you look back and think, oh yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I mean, if you think about the worst things that have ever happened to you, 6 months, a year later, they're not even issues usually.
Not even a thing.
You know, barring health issues for people, but they're not even. It's not even a thing.
Yeah.
It'd be good if you could have had future Rick to say, "Sharpen up, past Rick.
Yeah.
You're being a bit of a pussy.
Move on.
Yeah,
Definitely. And that's another thing it teaches you is actually you start to make decisions a bit better, because eventually you do think, well, what's worst case scenario? You close and then you regret it. So what? Move on.
yeah,
And you probably won't regret it anyway. Or I don't know. You just get good at. I got good at making a decision, as in, whichever way I go, it's probably not life changing.
yeah." I need to get better at that. I think.
Yeah.
You know, when just make a decision and stick with it.
Yeah. And not like it's based on the best information you've got at that time.
Yeah,
It might turn into the wrong decision, but as we all know, you learn from them anyway.
Yeah.
So,
bothers. Yeah,
and it's probably not that big a deal either.
yeah, correct. That's tough though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it took a while, but I'm glad I made the decision and I sold the lease on to somebody else and all the equipment. It took a while to sort of wind the whole thing down and walk away, but then
Yeah, I think it is like having seen that all happen from a different perspective outside of it. It's night and day. Like the difference in like, I mean, you were a proper dickhead then. Now you're all right again.
I can imagine I was. You know the funny
No,
thing
I'm kidding.
is
You weren't at all. I completely empathise with you. I did something similar. We had another gym in Wimbledon Village,
yeah,
and we'd hired someone to run it, and she turned out to be absolute dog shit. And then so I was then driving there every day, then to Blackheath, then to Sevenoaks, doing essentially a lap of the M25, and it was just sort of washing its face,
right.
and it wasn't the right venue. We rushed into it a little bit. It's a beautiful village, and there's a lot of potential there. But we were just at a golf club just outside, and we'd stuck loads of money into it.
Yeah,
And then one day I woke up and I said to Jay, my business partner, I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And we had a chat and we both agreed that it's just like we just had to shut the door on it and just write it off.
yeah,
And it's a sting.
yeah.
Do you know what? It's
Was
just
that a relief though?
massive relief.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, we lost a lot of money on it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot.
Yeah,
You know, when you think about your sort of strategy, because you can easily, like you were saying about like figuring out when's the right time to just like cut it off.
yeah,
It's easy to keep going, just out of pride, I guess. A lot of the time, it's easy
Definitely.
to go, no, this can't have not worked.
yeah.
You know, if you know, we'll keep
I've
throwing
put everything into this.
yeah,
It
keep
can't
throwing
not
money
work.
at it, keep trying, you know, keep doing the marketing, keep turning up. And like every bit of conventional wisdom says you keep grafting until you're a success.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to everything.
No, not
It
at
really
all.
doesn't. It may apply to the sort of macro view of your life. Like, yeah, I think that's right. You should keep grafting until you're a success, but it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
And I think the sooner you get over that, I assume that it's the people who have the most success and indeed the most experience are the people that learn to make those decisions quite decisively.
Yeah.
And then keep moving forward. Keep moving forward's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good mantra to live by. You don't need to keep doing the same thing, but just moving forward I think is important.
Yeah, but the difference between stopping something, one because it's not working or because you don't want it, the difference between that and never quitting, it's different. You know,
Yeah, never surrender doesn't work, does it?
It can be the same thing if you shut that down, fuck that off, that wasn't working, right? And then if you're then bold enough to then go, right, let's go again, let's try something else, that's never quitting. Whereas actually, if something isn't working and it isn't for you, which again is a difficult thing to work out, because am I not enjoying this business because it isn't working, or am I not enjoying it because it's not for me?
Yeah,
that took a while to work out as well.
I would imagine that it's a bit of both sometimes.
Yeah, But what hurt more is thinking about walking back into sound engineering, seeing all my old sound engineering friends who, in all fairness, you hear so many people about haters this and haters that, people wanting you to fail.
Yeah.
None of that. Everyone rooting for me.
Yeah.
So to go back and say to them, nah, it didn't work out, that fucking hurt. But the nicest people ever, they're just like, gutted for you, mate, unlucky. Anyway, let's go and fucking get a beer.
Yeah, we go again.
Yeah, we go again, exactly.
But here we are, Rick, with our new venture.
Exactly. This one's much more fun.
It is fun.
Bit too much you, but it's good fun.
Hang on a minute, I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay, cool.
I've written it down. I've put here in my notes. Training ? You used to be a bit fat ? We really asked that one. So now you're still doing some sound engineering, right?
Yep.
And we're working on the podcast. Had a few really good guests so far.
Yep.
Which is really very cool. It's been very fun actually.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's a sort of typical day in the life of Rick?
Again, it varies depending on whether I'm at work or whether I'm not at work. Obviously, if I'm at work, I go to work, do that. But if I'm at home, it will generally be get up just before the missus, fairly early.
What time are we talking here?
We're talking usually between 6 and 7. Again,
Okay.
It varies. I do much better if I say this is what time I get up and always do that. But at the moment, for some reason, I'm not doing that. I'll get up, usually go straight to the gym, maybe have...
What gym do you go to, mate?
I go to the Better Body Group.
Best gym in the land.
Yeah, usually go and try and get the workout in early, then come home, have some breakfast. And now what I tend to do, I've worked out what I'm better at is I leave the house and go to a coffee shop if I've got any work to do. Bearing in mind nowadays I can make myself busier than I ever used to because I'm chasing things like this podcast, also looking to invest in property, so I'm learning about that right now. So I'll leave the house and actually actively pursue something.
Fingers in pies.
Fingers in pies, geez. That's what I've learnt. Okay, fair enough. You're a bit fed up of working away all the time.
Oh, whinge, minge.
Boo, I don't want to work
don't
away.
Cry about
Let's
it,
not be
Rick.
hasty and start a salad bar. Let's start figuring out ways where you can slow down as you get older.
Quite good at like self-motivating yourself to work? Like, can you go and knuckle down in a coffee shop for a few hours, or you like me and I'm like just up and about? I'll have to go to the toilet first.
No, so
then
that's
I'll buy
why
a coffee and then I'll walk around.
I'll take myself out of where I'm shit at home,
right?
Because I'll find myself strolling around the kitchen, looking in the fridge, putting the telly on, just being a div. I'll tell you what, if I start my day slow, if I get up and put the telly on, I have a shit morning. It's like I'm rubbish.
Yeah,
I'm lazy.
I totally agree.
It's actually quite weird. Even if the missus convinces me, because she loves a snooze, if she convinces me to snooze with her when I haven't got anything to do that day, snooze, she gets up, gets ready for work. I then can't be asked to get out of bed, and I've got nothing to do that day, and I'll usually make myself.
They
do
say
stuff.
though, snooze, lose.
Yeah, I'm not about snoozing, so
it doesn't work, Rick. Doesn't work.
If I start my day slow, if I was to get downstairs and I've got a few things to do that day, but I'll just watch last night's UFC quickly. See you later, day. See you later, stuff I've got to do.
Yeah.
See ya. But if I
see
get
your clothes, just me, the pants, and the UFC.
Yeah, and maybe some Cheetos.
Yeah, like in my belly button.
Yeah. Just turn into a fat loser. But if I get
Fat Rick's back, just one morning, one hit of that snooze button and Fat Rick's back.
Exactly, but that's the thing, though, isn't it?
We've said this
like
before. That. It's all about carving out time in your day to look after yourself. Very early on, getting up early, getting a little bit of a workout in, eating a good breakfast, or the first meal of your day, eating something good. Pint of water. Get moving. It makes such a profound difference to your life.
Yeah, I say this to a lot of people at work when they see me. It's quite cool. They'll see me come down for breakfast in a hotel or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, you're looking fresh. You bet you've been for a run or something this morning, haven't you?"
Yeah.
Like, berating me for it. Like, fuck's sake, Rick. I bet you've been and trained or something, haven't you? And
Which was more like you, Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Come on, Rick. Anyway.
Stupid fit, Rick.
And just say to them, look, just give it a try. I dare you to have a bad day if you start it by working out in the morning. All right,
It gets annoying. I think I can't help but feel like I've become one of those really annoying people though that try and push that. I mean, that is what we do for a living, but
yeah.
I try. I want to tell people more about it because it is night and day difference.
Yeah.
To how I feel.
Yeah.
If I don't look after myself, if I have a few drinks the night before, have a little snooze, lay in, don't train, I can make 1 hour's work last 10 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do the opposite, if I have a good day of eating the day before, I wake up early, train, eat well, then it's night and day.
Yeah. 100%.
Like bang on form.
Yeah.
And that's routine, right? That is, it's difficult to keep that up. Definitely. If you're having periods where you can't, which is why that must be so difficult, that periods of doing sound engineering or doing something completely different, being away from your routine. I like everything to stay the same the whole time.
Yeah.
Because any sort of change in routine.
For that.
Yeah.
To have that lifestyle, doesn't it? But yeah, so if I go out, get myself out of the house, I'm all right in the coffee shop. There's something about being away from home, laptop, you've got Wi-Fi, and I can get some things done.
Yeah.
Writing. I'm trying to come away from to-do lists. I've been not looking into it, but there's a lot of articles you can read now about coming away from a to-do list and how to-do lists can not actually be as productive as we thought, and it can stress the brain out a little bit. And it can,
is this true?
Yeah. So
what's the better alternative then?
Tony Robbins has got a thing called chunking. And
I like the name for a start.
So it'll be chunking different parts of your life. So you say, it's very bigger picture stuff. It's like, right, who do I want to be? What do I want to be? And blah, blah, blah. And you put things into categories. So personal, business.
Oh, we discussed this,
goals.
Didn't we, at one point?
Yeah, I think we might have.
When we were doing the 3 peaks.
Yeah. And you end up just coming out with a couple of things in each. So a couple of things you need to do for your business, a couple of things you need to do personal, a couple of things you need to do for your health. It is, but it's not like a page of to-dos.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not even doing that. I'm writing a page full of to-dos. But I'm interested in progressing away from that. So, but I always find writing shit down that I've got to do helps massively, because I'll just forget and I'll be...
I do. I'm exactly
just
the
be
same.
pie in the sky otherwise. But when you start ticking things off, you literally... And a load of them are really small things. One phone call, one email.
There's a good app called...
Procrastinate on that shit
I think it's
forever.
called One Big Thing. But don't hold me to that. I think it is called One Big Thing. And essentially you do... It's like a to-do list app. And then, unsurprisingly, you pick one big thing that you need to do that day. And then you pick 3 smaller tasks. And then 5 really simple tasks.
Yeah.
I think it's that breakdown. Something like that. So that when you do get into work, or whatever you're doing, whatever you have planned for your day, you go for the big thing first, or a couple of the little things. You just try and get like those bits done in the day.
Yeah.
And I find that quite useful, because I can really go off course super easy.
Yeah.
And that is part of like running a business. I guess you're always sort of putting out fires. But we've talked about this in the past. Like you can spend your whole day working in your business and not any of the time working on it.
Yeah.
And that is an error.
Well, I suppose, isn't that unavoidable though sometimes? I
guess so, but not if you're doing it every day, then it's difficult to progress your business forward if you're constantly doing little bits of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's going to happen sometimes, but
yeah.
Generally you want to avoid it.
Although I've just recommended that app, I've used it once.
but you like the idea of it.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be like me, folks.
Yeah. But so if I get the majority of my work done before lunchtime, then I'm winning.
Yeah.
But other people I don't really know anyone like it, but I've heard Tim Ferriss talks about it a lot. He's a bit of a night owl, so he does a lot of his writing like really late and goes to bed really late. But I'm just complete opposite. Like my evenings, I really enjoy having my evenings off and then just going hard from early.
Do you switch off in the evenings though? Do you now? I bet you do now a bit more.
A little bit. I find myself restless though. Still, I did it this last couple of nights. I was trying to watch a film, Alison always says she knows because I get off the sofa and get onto the floor and start watching the film from the floor.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you're not paying any attention, are you? I'm like, no. And in my head, I'll start thinking, so at the moment, property is a big thing. I'm trying to research it. And I've got a book about it. There's podcasts about it. And if I'm just laying there watching a film and then I start...
About what, sorry?
Property.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah, I missed that.
And I'll be starting to think you could be using this time now to read.
That's what I'm like.
Or you could be listening to a podcast, or
yeah.
you could be writing some more, I don't know, sums down or
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm also, I have firm believer in not burning yourself out and taking time off, and again, being good to yourself and having to, you need to switch off, because then the next day you can go hard again. But then, I don't know, then there's other people out there that actually do just work and keep
Yeah.
going into the night, and maybe that's what it takes. I don't know.
It's difficult, right?
Yeah.
I have to drink myself off.
What do you mean?
Well, I never switch off from work.
Really? Yeah.
I'm not saying that to I'm not proud of it, because I don't get any work done. Like when I'm at home, like thinking about working, I'm still like doing the things that everyone else would do.
Yeah.
Like eating or like reading or whatever it may be. But then in the back of my mind, always 24/7, I'm thinking about work.
Yeah.
Until I have a drink.
Really?
Yeah.
And that actually switches it off.
Yeah. Which is such a shit excuse to drink, but like I do, like if I've had a few drinks,
Common though, right?
then I think that is a dangerous mix. Like that's a dangerous reliance.
Like that's the only way you can switch off, sort of thing.
Yeah, because it's probably not the only, it's probably just a convenient excuse. But
it works.
Don't do it.
There's no denying it works, though, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't drink every day because I'm happy to keep thinking about work Monday to Friday. But it does get it's a bit of a stretch. Like I don't watch telly.
Really?
Yeah, ever.
Do you record things on Sky Plus and then watch them? Really?
Never. No. Do you know what? I watched a couple of films a month maybe.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I mean, I can't go to the cinema or anything.
Really?
Yeah, no, never. I'm like that, leg shake. I'm that kid.
Yeah.
You know, shakes his legs, goes for a piss like 5 times. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's a tough. I guess that's part of it. If you have you've got quite like you're driven though, like, and I think that is just goes hand in hand with being driven, Rick. Like if you're feeling like your time could be spent better doing something that's going to help you progress more, then I don't think that's anything.
Yeah,
there's
true.
anything wrong with that.
True, but it's hard to know whether to appease that or to say try and relax. Do you know what I mean? Or whether I should just get up and start reading.
Do you know what I think? If on the days where I feel like I've done enough work, when I feel like I've got a lot done, then I feel like I can relax.
Yeah, you always know, right?
Yeah, but
sometimes you lie to yourself. But
yeah, see, I can fit like 4 or 5 hours work into 24 hours sometimes just by like mincing about and
yeah.
And I think that those days that's when you've got it constantly on your mind.
Yeah.
But you're quite productive though, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong. I have the other side, Fat Rick, as well. The other side, I do enjoy.
He's the good time Gary.
But at the same time, do you know what? I also, when I'm chilling, and I actually like watching film, I'll purposely seek out films like The Founder or films.
How good is that for your reference?
Yeah, very good.
If anyone hasn't watched that is well
involved.
Worth a watch. He's excellent in it. What's his name?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
really good.
He's quality.
Or the other one, The Big Short, films like that.
Yeah,
films that I'm learning from and actually being inspired by, documentaries as well. So,
The Goonies, for example.
The Goonies would be inspired about what's his name?
Sloth.
One-Eyed Willie.
Sloth is like a mirror image of Fat Rick.
Fun-loving, carries a sword,
chained up in a basement.
Cock.
Rick, who would be your dream podcast guest?
Oh, good question. And I've actually got some goals.
Got him for episode 2, haven't you?
Yeah, he's in. There's this guy called Gary Walton.
It's actually my uncle's name.
Isn't that your middle name?
Yeah, but after my uncle.
Right, okay, cool. It just suits you though, it's good time, Gary.
Thank you.
I've actually got some guest goals, and they're not all necessarily now. Liam Gallagher is one of my biggest.
That'd be excellent.
But also because he doesn't do media, he doesn't do interviews.
Right.
Like he doesn't like all that shit. But I think he doesn't like it because, and this is another reason I like the podcasting realm, because you can ask what you want and it doesn't have to just be about promo.
Yeah.
I don't think he does well with that small talk media shit, like
censored,
the latest album, this and you're fucking that and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You can see he gets bored with that shit. I'd love just to talk to him, just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, Liam Gallagher's definitely a big one. Dwayne Johnson sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but fucking hell, for talking
hard
about
not to like him, isn't it?
yeah, talk about achievement and success.
Yeah.
You'd love to know a bit more about his
He
routines
can't
and
do
how
much
he
wrong
drives
at the
himself.
moment,
Yeah.
can he?
Do you know what though? I'm gonna go and be
He's
controversial.
annoying you, is
None of his films are that good. Like he's just blown up as the biggest. But really, what I mean, Ballers is fucking brilliant, but Dwayne Johnson films like are any outstanding?
he? Well, you're not going to get him on your podcast now, mate.
Well,
Because I imagine he'll listen to this and he's going to think, that prick, Fat Rick, I'm not
Yeah.
going. He's not going to the gym at 4 a.m.
do you think I've just blown it?
He's blown it. I'm just trying to think
Sorry,
of
Dwayne.
any good films. They're all like quite franchise, like
Yeah,
not franchise, but they're all like blockbuster, like big budget.
yeah. So I mean,
He
the
is a
last
big
ones-
budget. He turns up though, doesn't he?
Oh, the boy. That's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. I
Oh, the
admire
boy
him.
turns up.
I admire the
Does he
shit
ever?
out of him, but
That's just
Yeah,
hard
he's
work,
just-
isn't it? As well,
yeah.
like he's. I think he's works a lot.
yeah, defo. But and again, it'll be cool to talk to someone like him to see how he manages, because he's got kids, he's got a family.
Is he?
So it'll be interesting to see how he manages that, even with
Moana.
film stars as well. Eh?
Moana.
Ah, well done.
Thank you.
Smashed it.
See why?
That is a wicked film.
There you go.
I'm sure there's more.
I
But
don't remember any like early films of his.
I'll tell you what was an early one that was good was Be Cool, which was a sequel to Get Shorty. Had
Sounds like
John
shit.
Travolta in it. He played a big old gay guy. Not old, but
Just
big
a big
old-
gay guy.
big gay guy, yeah. That was trying to make it in Hollywood.
It rings a bell.
That was quite good, to be fair.
Yeah, I watched it. I actually can't think of any films with him in. Fast and Furious, he's in those, isn't he?
Yeah,
Is he?
again,
Yeah.
not great
They're
films.
a bit pony, aren't they?
Even his latest ones, like Baywatch, Rampage, Jumanji.
I didn't mind Baywatch. Thought it was quite funny.
Oh, really?
Good cast.
Zac Efron.
I'll tell you
Fuck
what.
off.
No, I
What a
disagree.
weapon.
I disagree. Zac Efron.
How dare you?
No, him. What you saying? You saying good things about him?
Yeah, the same
Oh
as
yeah,
an
yeah,
absolute
yeah.
soul.
He's so. But him in a film with De Niro called either Bad Grandpa or Dirty Grandpa. Or
Bad
something.
Grandpa.
Bad
yes.
Grandpa. Honestly, one of the best films I've ever seen.
Yeah, very good film.
I was that cracked me up. That cracked me up. If anyone hasn't watched that, that is well worth
Yeah,
a couple
get
of
involved.
hours.
That is good.
Watched it twice, in fact.
Yeah. So yeah, there's two big ones, but other than that, I've got a list as long as you're on. Michael Phelps, I really want to talk to him. Mostly to ask him why he thought racing a shark was a good idea, but
You raced a shark.
yeah, but it was like they were in separate compartments. The
Flumes.
shark didn't know he was obviously in a race. The shark wasn't
course
like
he
ready,
didn't.
steady, go. I'm going to beat you, Michael. He was just doing shark shit.
Like swimming about.
Yeah.
They should have got a bit of meat on a fishing line, and then put it out in front of him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I've got on my list of questions.
Well, that's
What's
us.
that noise? You hear that? Is that a
Yeah, I
pigeon?
think that's someone doing gym stuff.
Well, I think that's probably a good start.
That's a good start, mate. That's not bad. That's not bad. I think we can teach them more about us as we go, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not all about us, is it, either?
Well, no, but you say that, but it will be. You need to remember that it is.
Oh, yeah.
People will tune in for us, not just our guests.
So
Basically,
Curious Cats.
Yes, sir.
I love that name.
You do?
I
Oh,
really
good.
do.
I'm glad.
I really do.
I always get nervous about putting myself out there with things like that, with the logo, with the name, anything.
You mustn't. You must be more sure of yourself, Rick.
Yeah, it's difficult, that. That's hands up. I struggle with that shit.
You mustn't.
Do you not?
If you don't love yourself, Rick, no one else will.
Boom, there you go. We'll finish on that one.
Curious Cats, thanks for listening.